Can you, do a general introduction of Vyfiance for people?
Yeah, absolutely, I can. So, Vyfinance is an entire ecosystem, really. It's not just a single product, we're a suite of products. I'll start with what we currently have running now. Currently, we have token staking, where you can farm for 5 different tokens. We've got NFT staking, where you can farm our NFT to earn different tokens across the Cardano ecosystem. So they're the 2 products that we currently have running. We're also introducing a DEX, of course. So we're building our DEX, and that's looking to be launched in the next sort of 2 months or so. What makes our DEX very unique to all the others, or the other 2, I should say, Sunday Swap and Muesli Swap that currently exist, is that our DEX is going to be entirely using just the PAB and the Cardano blockchain. So we're actually building our own serialization library to allow for the blockchain to allow for our program, our app, to link directly to the PAB. At the moment, that's the Plutus application backend, I should say. That's the structure that allows apps to talk to the blockchain. At the moment, all apps such as MinSwap and Sunday Swap, they're managing that centrally. So all the wallets, every time you log on, that actual connection between the blockchain and the wallet is managed centrally. We're looking to be the first to be able to do it decentralized. And the way that we're doing that is we're designing our own, it's called a serialization library. We're designing our own library to allow us to then be able to do that. And we intend to make that library open source as well, because we believe it's something that's core to the blockchain. Now, that was a bit of an aside there. Sorry, guys.
Oh, no worries. That's pretty exciting, though. I want to ask you, one more question. Is there any, drawbacks, right? You're mentioning that, MinSwap and Sunday Swap are using a centralized, method of connecting through the wallets. Is there any drawbacks to the method that you guys are taking?
Look, the biggest drawback that we have to the method that we're taking is time, and the fact that we have to build even more newer technology. So money, it's more expensive to do. But we also believe that it's really fundamental that Cardano starts to have actual products that work natively on its blockchain as a proof of concept for the function of that blockchain, right? So we're working rather close with IOHK now. We're really trying to get this set up so that the blockchain itself is able to manage these motions rather than using like Sunday, which is a centralized scooper model, right? Not that there's anything I should add. I'm not trying to say anything against those companies that have chosen to take that route. It did make sense from a business perspective. From a blockchain perspective, though, we're just very interested in ensuring that we have that access to a decentralized system.
Yeah, I didn't really think anything you mentioned about them was negative. It's often, when you're building something different, you have to reference, existing projects and the way that they went about things as well. So yeah, I completely understand where you're coming from there. So, you mentioned you have this whole ecosystem of products, and the DEX is just one of them. Do you want to move on to the next offering?
Absolutely. We are then designing an auto harvester. Now, an auto harvester is, if you can imagine it if you know the product, on Ethereum, it's called Yearn Finance. There's another one, Harvest Finance. There's a whole host of auto harvesters across multiple chains, really. This is a system that allows users to engage with the blockchain themselves. With liquidity mining without having to actually manage those liquidity mines, right? So at the moment, if you want to do liquidity mining, you have to manage 10 to 15 different tokens simultaneously. You're putting them into different liquidity mines across multiple different platforms to try and get some kind of yield. That can become a very complex process with very long spreadsheets if you have the capacity to construct those spreadsheets and manage that process, which a lot of people don't. So we're essentially creating a system that is a one-stop shop that allows users to just deposit their ADA, and then we take that ADA and we liquidity mine that for them, right? And that means that users won't have to sit there worrying about their day-to-day impermanence risk. They won't have to sit there worrying about which tokens do I buy and sell, how do I move my money around, how do I ensure that I'm keeping track of it all. Our system is managing all of that for you. What makes our system really unique as well is that we're implementing an AI that actually manages those strategies. Now, that AI is a neural net. So it's teaching itself how to best optimize the yield farming across the platform, across the Cardano platform, all on your behalf. So this is actually going to be a first to any blockchain, which is to have an auto harvester that's being managed through a neural net. No other blockchain has ever done this.
So is another term for that a yield optimizer? Have you ever heard that?
No, a yield optimizer is slightly different. No, I think I might be thinking, yes, I think it is a yield optimizer. I was thinking of yield aggregator, which is something else. Yes, it is a yield optimizer is another word for it, yes.
Okay, yeah. The reason I asked that is because I actually had Lars on the podcast for Genius Yield, and they're working on a yield optimizer. And, I'm still learning about all this new stuff that's coming to Cardano, and I've never really heard it be labeled an auto harvester before. So thank you for explaining that. And that sounds pretty interesting. And I think that, product definitely has a huge use case for the average person. For example, my father, he's actually farming liquidity on MinSwap right now. And I had to, walk him through it. And, it'd be a lot easier. Just how they have the zap feature where you just zap one token, you get two. That's very useful for him. And it would be even more useful if he could farm and diversify, the amount of tokens he's farming. So, yeah, I could see a huge use case for that.
Absolutely. And where we're looking, with the advantage of having the neural net managing the bulk of that strategy is that we essentially get the ability to have a strategy that isn't just set from its creation, right? So a lot of yield optimizers have got set strategies that you can then put your money into, and then those set strategies deliver a return. But then if those strategies start to go sideways or those strategies start to not look as strong as they were before, the actual yield harvester or the actual yield optimizer doesn't manage that strategy in any way, right? So that's what makes ours different, why I prefer to call it an auto harvester, because ours has actually got adaptable strategies based on current market conditions. So a user would deposit based on a risk that they want to achieve. Do you want a medium risk, a low risk, a high risk, or do you want to just hold mostly stablecoin? We also will have a stablecoin option. That's why we're working with Cody, who are releasing JED, I should say, which is the stablecoin on Cardano. We will actually have these strategies that will adapt in real time to current market conditions so that users will be able to even further optimize their yield outside of just strategies that have been created for the sake of yield optimization. In other words, to simplify the process. We don't just simplify, we also adapt. That's what makes us incredibly unique.